1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2,
Amazing. Woo! Okay, take a deep breath in. And out. All right. Now, we're going to play a little agree, disagree, unsure. I think a lot of you have played this in one version or another. You'll notice that right over here there is a sign that says not sure. Can you reveal that? Vanna White style? Over here, agree. Yes, thank you. And disagree. Boom. All right, so when I say statement, you're going to pick one of those three signs. What if you don't know? Not sure. Okay, so there's no, yeah, exactly, all right? And sometimes I'll ask you kind of why, and if you say something that makes someone shift their point of view, what could you do? Physically move to express that shift, okay? Great. First statement is, if you don't agree with a rule, you should break it. If you don't agree with the rule, you should break it. Okay, so stand by one of those. I'm not sure it's over there. Yeah. Semantics is everything. So whatever that means for you. Okay, great. Okay. Someone over here on agree, share why you think so.
I think the problem with the world is that a lot of people are afraid to break the rules, right? So it means that a lot of innovation and revolution doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes I find in our ever-changing rules, sometimes rules are outdated.
Right.
And they need to be updated, but they're like, this is the way we've always done it, and you run into that wall. So sometimes that's where I stand with this.
Great. All right. What about over here? Disagree. Yes.
I think rules are needed for structure, so I wouldn't use the word break, I would use the word bend.
I love breaking rules. It's just like what I do. But I like to break them after, I want to know what the rule is for.
Yeah.
And if it's logically a rule that makes sense to me, then I'm all about keeping it. But I don't want to sort of break it just to break it. I just want to know, it has to make sense to me logically before I do break it.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to agree with that.
Sorry. Yeah.
Sorry.
Keep going. Keep going.
I apologize.
Go.
I agree with that. I also want to just have a bigger discussion of what the rule, also what the rule is and why it's happening and how we can reevaluate the rule. I guess it's also kind of breaking the rule, but figuring out what it means to everybody.
You want to talk about the rule?
I want to talk about it.
Okay. Yeah.
It's the semantics of should. Should I break the rule if I don't agree with it? Because sometimes, as he's saying, there's structure and there's reasons why. So, if I'm going to a theater and I'm whistling, should I break that rule? Can I do that? Can I put that in the show? Because there's an old rule that the sandbag's going to hit me.
Yeah.
Ain't going to hit you anymore, but it should, and depending on the people around you.
Should being that word, that pivotal word. Interesting. How about the unsure? What causes that unsureness here? Yeah.
I always think of rules for safety rules or non-negotiables, especially in my classroom. You can't negotiate with me that you can sit on a chair and go back and forth. That's a non-negotiable. If you're threatening someone's life, that's a non-negotiable. That is a rule that must stay. However, there are rules that are outdated that through time we need to look at and ask why.
Yes.
And so I think it depends on that for me.
Interesting.
Yes, I was thinking about is this a narcissistic viewpoint that I'm taking by saying that I don't agree with the rule? Like, how does it affect other people? Or is it just, I don't agree with it, so I'm not going to do it? Like, thinking of the bigger picture.
Yes. And just, if something resonates with you, you can snap. Even if you're, like, it resonates, but it's not going to cause me to move. I hear that, right? Great. Okay, I'm going to give you an adjustment. If a law is unjust, you should break it. If a law is unjust, you should break it. Does that make you change?
Sorry.
How powerful is that? Should. I can see it. Oh, okay. Okay. Now, I would normally talk about it, but I'm thinking about time, and I want to see an adjustment here. Is there an adjustment? If I say to you, if a law is unjust, I will break it. Does that change anything? Oh my God, okay, really? This is a map of a play right now. Okay, so character journey. What caused that journey? Those of you who moved or didn't move, who went, who clocked in and went, would I? Yes. Tell me about that experience. Yes.
So I was thinking.
First of all, remind us where you moved from.
So I went from
From
agree to disagree.
Okay.
And for me, the answer to all of the three has been sort of contextually specific. So I had to disagree with the first one because the should was too decontextualized to be able to go. So should is a definitive. There's too much variables around here to be able to say yes to that.
Yeah.
Then it was the law is a thing that is unjust and that needs to be tackled. Like, yes. Then it's like, I will break the law personally. It's go, well, what if the law is unjust and it doesn't relate to me? How can I break a law that's not about me? So the context shift was the reason that I moved.
So if I said, if a law is unjust and relates to you, I would break it. Would it change where you are? You'd go back. Okay. Interesting. Yes. Yeah.
I was not sure before, and for me it's all about like consequence, and I think as I get older and have children, I have to think of my own consequence. Like, I can't spend the night in jail. So so also at first it was a rule, and it was like, okay, a rule, I'm thinking about school, classrooms. I'm still unsure because we're not sure what the consequence of me breaking the rule is. And then once it's a law, I'm like, we have to change it, but I can't break it because if I break it, and then certainly if it's just me, and it's that thing, and it's kind of a sad thing, but that thing of like putting yourself on the line where you should, but also having to be honest with, can I or will I? You know what I mean? And right now, no.
If I said if a law is unjust, you should fight to change it, where would everyone probably go?
Yeah.
Of course. But yeah, it's that question of that consequence popping in, and interesting to say, if my age changes my relationship to that. It's very true. I've done this exercise with teenagers, and the difference is very different than when I work with adults. It's like consequences have a different, meaning. Yes? Anyone else want to share their journey? Yes, hand went up so fast.
So I stayed here.
Yeah.
And I would be very surprised, and you might, because I am, ask a question where I move from this part, from this space. And, what John said about being age and like not breaking a law because you couldn't spend the night in jail, but then you consider, well, what if breaking that law is protecting my children?
Right.
So, I just think that what everyone is saying is correct. So I'm going to be here because it depends on the moment, the context. It depends on so many things that I don't think there are so many infinite ways to look at any question or moral topic. I mean, there are certain things, like if you said, do you think it's okay to kill someone? I would go there. If you asked a very clear right and wrong,
Right.
I could go to one of them, possibly. But if it's not clear, then I need to be presented. I need to know what my position is and what other people's positions are, and
Yeah.
everything that everyone's been saying. So I can't imagine moving from.
One of my favorite things about the not sure piece of it, because you know there's also a version called Four Corners, right, where it's agree, strongly, strongly disagree. I strongly disagree with that exercise because because I think unsure is a really important space to leave open for us, for students, for anyone. Because I think a lot of times students don't raise their hand in class because they don't necessarily feel like being confused about something is an interesting idea or thought to offer to the whole group. And that kind of, that sense of looking at the ambiguity of a question having value, right? So I just wanted to offer that for those who haven't, have you played Four Corners? Mm-hmm. No diss on that. I think it's great, but I do think that playing agree, disagree, unsure has a lot of strength to it. Yeah, go ahead.
I just really don't think that, personally, I don't know if people really truly know what they're gonna do, once again, until you know when you're in that moment.
Yeah.
I could say that I agree, I find this completely unjust, and when the moment comes, I'm gonna do this, but in that moment, I might not do anything.
Thank you for my cue. So at this point, that is the most perfect cue I could ever dream of, and we didn't prepare or rehearse, did we? No, we didn't. Okay, so with that in mind, and I know a lot of you have things to share, and I hope that this workshop, the sequence of this workshop, will provide opportunities for you to share your thoughts about this core issue. So don't worry, it's not over. What I would like is for you to either stay standing or sit where you are. I'm going to perform a short piece for you. It's up to you whether or not you feel comfortable sitting on the ground. I love sitting on the ground, but you can. If there are a couple of sort of chairs and stuff off stage, or right there is great too. Yeah, just be careful. Great. All right, so I am going to, as my cue suggests, provide a very specific situation and offer you the opportunity to make a judgment call on this very question, okay? I'm gonna come to you in character to present this dilemma to you, and then you're going to actively engage in that dilemma, okay? So I am going to step into character, and you're going to give me like a 3, 2, 1 curtain. So who's going to give the 3, 2, 1? Someone who has a nice, loud, strong voice. Yes. Oh, Talia, yes. 3, 2, I'm like, yeah. Oh, yeah. Hi there. You're going to give a nice, strong 3, 2, 1, and then everyone's going to say curtain. When curtain is said, that is, you are in the world of this story. And I am a character who is coming to you for advice and context. Okay? Great. Okay, here we go. Yeah.
3, 2, 1, curtain!
My brothers were born at the same time. C-section. And they fought every moment of their lives for as long as I can remember. They fought about whose toy it was, or for our father's attention, or anything at all. They fought, and fought always. And when our father died, and it was time to figure out who would be king, they fought again. This time, more seriously. They fought and they fought. And it wasn't until our Uncle Creon had this idea that we would flip a coin, and whoever won the coin toss would be king for 1 year, and the other would be king the next year, and they would just kind of flip back and forth over time. And they stopped fighting for just a moment, I think, at the suspense of it, right? And so Polynices and Eteocles, my brothers, they called it. Polynices called heads, and Eteocles called tails, and Creon flipped the coin. Tails. Eteocles would be king for a year. Polynices didn't take it well. He was unhappy, and he said, "Oh, I'll see you in a year, brother." And Eteocles said, "Yeah." And Polynices left, and everything was good in Thebes for a little while. It was pretty good. Eteocles was ruling, and we were okay. We were grieving, but we were okay. And then we started hearing word about Polynices and what he was up to. We didn't know he had left the city, and it turns out he'd been traveling to Argos, our enemy, which made us scared. We were worried. It was like in the enemy city-state of Argos, and so we were like, is it going to be okay? Is he going to be captured? And then we hear the next thing, which is that he has fallen in love with a girl in Argos, and the girl happens to be the daughter of the king. And then we hear that he has married this girl. So Eteocles didn't take that well. You know, his brother marrying the daughter of the king of our enemy. So he was really mad. So when the year comes up and it's time for Polynices, the day arrives, Polynices is supposed to come back, and we're wondering, like, is he just going to stick out in Argos or what? And like, Eteocles is sitting on his throne, right, and in the back of the palace, in comes Polynices that morning, and he comes storming over to his brother, and he holds out his hand, and he says, "Give me the crown, it's my turn." And Eteocles says no, so that didn't go well. They started fighting, and it got physical, and they started pushing each other, until Polynices said, "You know what? I will be back, and I won't be alone." So we wait. And Polynices returns, but this time with the army from Argos. The Argive army, you know, is the worst. I mean, they have this guy with this arm. So it is absolutely terrifying. I mean, our neighbors are killed. Polynices kills people in his own city. There's fire rings down the 7 gates of Thebes. Our army beats back Polynices Polynices' army at every gate but one. And finally, Thebes is winning. And at that last gate, Polynices and Eteocles are the last two standing. And they fight. And they fight until at the last moment, they plunge a sword into each other's hearts. And they die at the same time. They were born at the same time, and they died at the same time. My 2 brothers, gone. So, who's going to be king? Creon, our uncle, becomes king. And he makes a law that says Eteocles, who died our champion, is going to get a proper burial, but Polynices, who was a traitor, who invaded our land, should be left out to rot. And you know our religion says if you are not given the rites of burial, then you will not pass on to the next life, which is the worst thing that can happen. So, the reason I'm telling you this is my sister Antigone has come to me, and she says, "Ismene, we must bury our brother." And I said, "But you didn't hear about the law that Creon made?" He said, "Anyone who tries to bury the brother, bury Polynices, they will be stoned to death." And you know, stoning to death is bad. It's like really bad. It's like you stand in the center of the square and people throw rocks at your body until your organs fail. I said, "Antigone, if we do this, we will die. And then who will take care of us?" She She said, we must do it. It is wrong and we must do it. Will you help me? And so I ask you now, what should I do? Should I follow my sister to break the law, to break Creon's law? Or should I say no? No, I want to live. I want to live. I will do other things. I will speak out. I will try to change him or the law, but I will not break the law and risk my life. What should I do? I have to decide, because not deciding is deciding. Do you know what I mean? There's a limit to this. Antigone's about to go out there, so you can't be unsure about this. Okay? I have to decide to do it or not to do it. That's it. What should I do? What should I do?
You should go with your sister.
And risk death?
Yeah.
No death.
I think it's an important risk to honor your brother.
Okay? Yeah?
I feel I would piggyback off of her family, because family is greater than any other people. So this is the person who lived with you, took care of you, cared about you. That's your right, that you need to go and bury him.
Okay.
That's why I think.
Oh.
I urge you to imagine what a life will look like if you don't do it.
Yeah.
If you don't go with your sister, and see and think about if that's going to be a fulfilling life for you, knowing that you betrayed her.
Yes.
If you can do that, then go for it.
Okay, all right, now, you're all going to get to speak your mind on this. I'm stepping out of character. So I'll be back in a second.
Well done,
So
well
thank you. Not sure is where I am at this meeting. I'm not sure. Those of you who think that agree with Antigone, they think, I think that you should be willing to risk your life to bury Polynices. You're going to stand in a line facing those who disagree, who think, no, I mean, you should do other things, but you should not risk your own life, okay? So 2 lines facing each other. Agree with Antigone, disagree with them. Oh, wow, interesting. Okay, now. Great.
Are we allowed to change?
Are you allowed to change?
If someone convinces you.
Yes, absolutely. So wonderful. So if you imagine that this is a barometer, it's a spectrum, it's you know what I'm saying? It's the thing where it's like it gets more. Temperature? Yeah. Those of you who disagree a little bit are on this side of the line. And those of you who disagree a lot, like extremely passionately, are going to be this end similarly. Those of you who agree with Antigone a little bit, mostly, at your tip, you could go kind of either way, are going to be more on this end. And those of you who super passionately agree with Antigone are going to be on this end. So rearrange yourselves in your own line according to that. Okay?
Yeah, I feel like everyone's about to lose. Yeah.
Sorry, I'm making it hard.
We're going to shift.
Oh, interesting. Okay, all right. So, this is what's going to happen. This is called the Valley of Public Opinion. All right, the VOPO for short. So I am going to, as Ismene, walk down this valley, and when I look at you, I'm giving you the mic. When I look away from you, I'm taking the mic away. Okay? So you can speak to me and try to convince me. If something that someone says, if Linda says something that makes you change your intensity, you can switch where you are in line, or your flat out opinion, you could switch over, which may give you another opportunity to have the mic. So that may be interesting, right? So you really want to listen to each other. We're also going to use some of these things as fodder for the next exercise. So really, I say all this because it's hard once you've spoken as a student to stay deeply connected. So these are some of the things I will say to students. I know you're going to listen to each other, right? But I just am sort of doing that side coaching thing. Okay, so make sense? Yes? I had a context question which made you switch your side, which is, does Ismene have children? She does not. I was like, there was a switch. Great. So, by the end, when I reach the end of this valley, after I've heard from everyone, I am going to make a decision about which side I go to. Yes?
I have a question.
Yeah.
The question was specifically, should Antigone break the law, or is it that you should go with her?
I should go with her.
Because I have two different.
I should go with her.
That you should go with her.
I should go with her and you know, help her bury our brother Polynices, who some have been calling a terrorist, by the way. I'm just saying. All right, you're like, yeah, okay, yes.
You don't have children. Do the other siblings have children?
Well, Antigone and I are the only siblings remaining. Our parents are dead. I don't know if you're familiar with our parents, Oedipus and Jocasta. So we've been through some trauma, if you're familiar.
It's a complicated family.
Yes. Yes. I love that I'm often working with students who've studied the play before, and I love to, at this point, bring that up and remind them, and they're like, oh my God. You know, so, yes. All right. So I'm going to, and you can, when you have the mic, if you have a clarifying question, you can ask it there too, if that makes a difference. Great. So I'm going to go back and forth. Mike, when I look at you. Yeah.
Ismene, I don't think you feel as strongly as Antigone is, and I think there's no point in losing two of you. So let her go.
Yes.
And you stay here and try to change Creon's policies.
Yes.
I mostly agree. I'm curious, though, if you would go ahead and do this with Antigone, if you would get a proper burial.
I don't know. I don't think so.
There's strength in numbers, so you should always be supporting your sister in the way that you would also be supporting both of your brothers.
Well, you can always take poison before they stone you so that you don't feel the rocks going down.
Ismene, I think. I'm sorry. You were saying.
And you know, women have romance anyway, so they might.
That's true. That's true. That's true. Yes.
Ismene, I think this is a personal moral decision that only you can make. So I think you need to consider what your principles are, what your morals are, and act according to those.
Yeah. Any tips?
No, morality is an individual.
Okay, I got you. All right, I got to make my individual. Okay, great. Yes.
If you don't go, you may have an opportunity to help Antigone later, after she does the deed.
Well, a couple things. You're assuming that the underworld is like a scary place when you don't even know what happens when you die. And then number two, if you do eventually pass away, and which you will, how will your life be lived knowing you won't necessarily live a fulfilled life? You'll be living in grief and pain and an awful sort of longing.
Let me clarify my religious beliefs. I believe that the afterlife is a complicated place. What I'm worried about is Polynices not being able to reach the underworld, not being able to have that next step, that his soul will be in like a purgatory is how people with that religious mindset might think. So him not being able to have the opportunity to discover that afterlife, right? So yeah, when I get to you, yes.
The question was, if you don't get a proper burial, what do you think is going to happen to you?
I don't know. I don't know. You asked that before, yeah? Yes.
It sounds like you care about your brother more than yourself right now, and I don't know if you could live with yourself if you were the only person from your family other than Creon who's left. So it sounds like you want to prioritize your brother right now. So maybe it's okay if you don't get the proper burial, even if he does.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, similarly to what was said earlier, like your family has been there for you throughout all of this, like since, you know, and they're your family, and you can't do anything without having them. So giving them that proper burial would like make you feel more comfortable knowing that your family has like the right to go off and go into the underworld in a better place.
Yeah.
I guess my perception of your original telling of us this, Ismene, was that you actually weren't that religious. I just, that was my perception. I could be totally wrong, but it's sort of like if you're very religious, then you would be quite worried about your own afterlife. If you're not that religious, you might not be so worried about Polynesius's. So that's where I fall into this. I feel you can live with yourself if you don't do it.
Okay.
All right. You don't agree?
I don't know. That's why I'm here.
Your brother, he broke code. He
Yes.
was about to set it on the whole city,
Right.
you included.
Right.
Okay, so
Yes.
I think it's best you let your sister hold it down and you can live to tell the story.
That same?
Yeah, like, why are you so consumed with protecting this completely, like, toxic male parent who's tried to burn your whole world? Yeah, you have a life to live.
I do.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, well, first of all, you don't know that you're gonna get caught.
I mean,
So, you don't know this might happen, so that's one, because you and your sister, you guys had this conversation, nobody was around, so you might not get caught, you could get away with it. And second of all, Creon is a new king. What the people think of him.
waiting for this. though.
Exactly, but
Okay.
what the people think of him really matters to him. So
Yes.
I don't think even if you guys get caught, he's gonna kill his 2 nieces and 2 princesses. Like there's no princes and princesses left at all. I don't know if he's gonna be able to go through with that because he's gonna lose his
stubborn,
city.
though.
He's gonna lose his city.
Okay. Yes?
You know that it is your duty to bury your family, divinely dictated. If you choose to go by the law of a human king, what will happen to you in afterlife?
What do we think?
I just think you should let go of religion.
Okay.
You should just get over it.
Okay.
Also, once he dies, he's going to disintegrate and go into the ground anyway. So you can just say some prayers and you're good.
Okay. I honestly wasn't expecting that. I love it. So, because of time, I want to go a little bit more rapid fire. So I want you to make me look at you, get my attention, but still following kind of going down the line. So a little bit more like one sentence, boom, 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 boom. Okay?
Speak to your uncle. Reason.
It's your responsibility as a family member to follow your sister no matter what. Ditto to that guy, and it's funny that we're on the same field.
Pull my attention. Yeah.
Polynesius killed your entire city. Do you really feel like he deserves a proper burial after what he did to your entire community? Your family?
Not right now, I don't.
Keep in mind, whatever punishment Creon designed for your brother, he's also designing for your sister too. Can you look at that?
Yeah, but like this bro is definitely a traitor, and you don't want to give up your life for no traitor.
I stand by what I said.
Come on!
Traitor.
He's a traitor.
Don't think that I can help you with this question.
What about honoring the legacy of your family? If you're the last one left, like what about that honor? That's gone.
Honoring the legacy of your family would be honoring your brothers. They were born together, they died together, they should be in the afterlife together.
These 2 brothers never asked your opinion on any of this, and now you're supposed to risk getting tortured to death to save one of them from the own stupid mistake he made? No. What are these people saying to you?
But Ismay, Creon just like total swindled you. He killed your whole family. His plot was to be king from the start. Can't you see that? So like, he said first, he broke his own law. He told each year a king will have it. And then when time came, when he saw conflict, he was like, now since he created the conflict, now that we have the old enemy now a part of the alliance, he sees the family as stronger, and now he has to divide it.
You and your sister should restore order.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a lot. That's a lot.
No.
Okay, a lot of pressure. Yes.
Your brother's soul already has been destroyed by his actions. He's not going anywhere. It doesn't matter what you do. He's not going to the afterlife. He brought it upon himself, so don't bother. His soul is gone. Gone.
What you find justice
Because one, first, down with patriarchy to begin with. Because screw all that, so screw their laws to begin with. But your uncle made the rule, and your brothers agreed to 1 year flip off.
Yeah.
And Antiochus did not do that, so he is the one who started all of this.
Yeah.
He started the terrorism because your brother was just trying to get what lawfully was his.
Yes.
And now, because it benefits your uncle in public opinion, he's going against your brother who was just trying to follow the law that your uncle did in the beginning.
Oh, God. Okay.
And he's family.
Yes. All right, bring it home, y'all.
I agree with Polynices chose the gods of Argos. He chose the other family of Argos. He did not choose your family and did not choose the gods of Thebes, so, or not, wherever. But if he turned against his gods, he's not going to have, no matter how much of a burial you'll give him, the gods are already against him. He turned against your
don't they have the
family.
same gods?
And no matter,
And Thebes
But-
and Argos, they're all Greek.
but they're all Greek, but they go with different heads.
But wait, and I'm making my country more strategically stronger. I'm bringing Argos, the people we feared.
And I came back to rule here instead of over there. I came back to Thebes with the intention of being.
All right, y'all, let's get back to the matter of should I do it? Should I do it?
He killed your city. Who's going to roll over?
What's your
decision?
decision?
He would have
Argos
killed
people
you.
are going to come over here.
He would have killed you.
Yeah.
You ready?
Yeah, I know.
May I say?
You have a chance
May I-
to change
Stand
part
by
of
your
your family's
sister.
trauma.
You're not going to change anything.
You should be convincing your sister not to do it.
You
Why
could
are
be
you
the
so adamant on
casualty
protecting
of
your
all of
brother?
the war anyway.
You should be protecting her.
And the rest of you.
Boy, it was a tough one. And what's interesting, I'm stepping out of character. What's interesting is that Ismene makes this decision, of course, that she's not going to help her sister, but she does halfway through the play change her mind. So in a lot of ways, or tries to change her mind. In a lot of ways, both sides, weigh very heavily on Ismene. I want you to reach across the aisle, which we don't really do very much these days, and I want you to find a partner of someone across from you right now, a partner.
They have to be directly across?
No.
I'm like, the first one up there.
I'd rather work with
There's more disagrees than there are.
So make it work, make it work. Yeah, that would get some exposure.
So, we could be a trio, I guess. Shall I be a three?
Anybody else
I
is
can,
not a
I can change to be a three.
That's all I needed to do? Wow. Okay, so I know you're adults. So I'm going to be like walking through. I'm handing you guys, does anyone not have a partner? Oh, so we have one trio. Actually, could you work with Talia so we have just, yes. I'm handing you, great, thank you. I'm handing you the Antigone Ismene scene from the original play. I would like for you just to start by selecting who is Ismene and who is Antigone. As you read through the scene, you're going to find a space to read the scene together and see if you can come at it with the same kind of passion that you had for your point of view in the VOPO. By the way, when I do this with students, I've been doing this exercise in some way or another for 20-something years, and it has that same level of passion. Students I had students following me down the hallway the last time I did it, yelling about it, and like teachers being like, "That student has never spoken." So they get very passionate about it. I want you to find a spot in the room, and I want you to read through the scene. Just hit the text on like second week of rehearsal level of commitment. Okay, just go for it. Don't be timid. Read the scene. Go for it. You've got like 3 minutes to play. Which one do you want? You not memorized? Ooh, you look at the instructions.
What can my hands do for Isis? All right.
You're strong enough to help me lift the horse.
You would break the law and bury him?
You would betray our brother.
You dare me to fight Creon?
Betray our brother? You would dare to defy Creon? I recognize devotion so my you fear vengeance on bury my if I die. So you fear the vengeance of Creon in the city, but I fear fury. Those and to you're not born to fight and die senseless. Well, I certainly wouldn't want you to be senseless. You must be
Be careful. Keep your secret, and so will I.
I certainly wouldn't want you to be.
I will bury my brother. If I die for my devotion, so be it.
Go, leave then. But remember, I'm
your life standing against my country. Just don't expect your country to stand for you against God's.
Go! Leave them. But remember, I am your sister. Your life is not yours alone. Heavy, yeah.
All right, if you hear me clap once. Great. If you hear me clap twice. I realize you've got like scripts in your hands. You're like, God. Okay. Graciela and Melissa, everybody else is just going to focus on them, and we're going to see the scene.
What can my weak hands lose to loosen such a knife?
They're strong enough to help me lift a corpse.
You would break the law just to bury him?
And you would betray our brother.
You defy Creon.
He cannot stand between me and my own.
We are only women, Antigone. We are not born for war with men to fight, to die. It's senseless.
Well, I certainly wouldn't want you to be senseless. You must be as you believe. I will bury my brother. If I die for devotion, so be it. The fear of vengeance of Creon and the city, but I fear the fury of those below. I will not dishonor the principles of the gods.
I am not dishonoring the gods. I'm standing for our country.
Just don't expect my country to stand for you against the gods. I'm going.
Be careful. Keep your secret, so will I.
No, Ismael. You must shout it out.
You don't have the strength, Antigone. Are poor. You pour out your love for nothing. You'll be a little service when you're dead.
Leave me to my senseless scheme. I'd rather die for love than live for nothing.
Go leave then. But remember, I'm your sister. Your life is not your own. I'm not alone. I can change it.
I want you to think about the character that you played, each of you, and I want you to find the line that you feel like encapsulates that point of view of the character. Like, it's like, oh, that's my center line. That's the line that I feel like if I were to distill this character down to one line of dialogue, that's what it would be. All right? It's hard choice. All of the lines contribute, right? But you're going to choose. And on the count of three, you're all going to say your line out loud. 1, 2, 3. Great.
I fear the fury of those below.
Great.
Be careful.
I will not dishonor the principles of the gods. Your life is not yours alone.
You must be as you believe.
Great. So let's think about adjectives to describe Antigone first. For those of you who played Antigone, what's an adjective that describes her? You could recognize her anywhere. She goes into a time machine and she shows up in 1963. She shows up in 2023. You would be able to recognize her because she is
loyal,
certain,
strong-willed,
radical, bold,
convict. Right? Radical, bold, determined.
She has moxie.
All right? And I heard like loyal too, right? So if Ismani jumped into a time machine and showed up in 1963 or 2023, you'd be able to recognize her anywhere because she is
Sensible. Flip-flop. Anxious. Careful.
Intelligent.
Logical.
Thoughtful.
Rational.
Okay. You got the point. It doesn't have to be limited to 3 or 4, but we want to be able to recognize. So when we adapt this story, which we're about to do, you're going to get some choice in where you want to place this story. So these aren't mine. I'm not going to put these in my pocket and walk away with them. I was just about to do that. Stealing is wrong. All right. So you're going to get a few options. If everyone just look over where Talia is, there is, what does that say, Talia?
School walkouts and gun control.
So there's a situation where there are students who are considering doing a school walkout, which would potentially mean that they could get expelled, trying to protest gun control. That's one of your options. Another one of your options, is over here. A student-led protest on Black Lives Matter. There was a group of students profiled in the New York Times who broke laws in their own home, in their own school. One young woman who decided to lead a massive protest, and her mother said she couldn't do it, and she did it anyway, and her mom found out because she was on the cover of the newspaper, headlining. So great, that's another option. Another would be, what does that say?
Tell parents and gender.
Reading about this today. There are laws that are compelling teachers to call home, schools to call home if a child changes their pronouns. That's like on the books in some schools, okay? And here's one. You heard about that canceled theater production of Indecent? Yeah. Ironically, the participants, the high school students participating say it has to do with the Don't Say Gay laws in Florida. Finally, your fifth choice, well, your fifth of 6 choices, really, is all of the book banning happening around critical race theory. There's also just, the write something else choice. So the 5 choices. So I want you to think about the book banning, the school walkout and gun control, the gender identity, don't say gay. I want you to think about what would make you want to write. What calls your voice out today, at this moment? I imagine this room is interested and cares about all of these things. You only can do one. If that's one of your questions.
Is it choose your own adventure too?
It's choose your own adventure.
No, I mean, is there choose your own adventure
Story.
not in the 5?
Yes, choose your own adventure is in the center. So you're going to think about what we're going to do with it. I'll be clearer about. Don't worry. I know that will really impact your choices. I know what we're going to do with it, right? But you're going to think about where you're compelled. Where's the magnet? And I want you, on the count of 3, I want you to just point, even if you need to use 2 arms right now because you can't decide. I want you to point towards the place that is of most interest to you. But before we do, question clarifying. Yes?
Okay, I have to say something that is potentially extremely controversial.
Yes.
These are all assuming, and I'm not saying where I stand, but they're all assuming which side we all stand on.
No, far from it, and I'll explain why in a moment. We're not, and if one of those issues is not something you want to grapple with, you can go into the center, right? So I'm not saying that this is a piece where we're going to be talking about what's wrong with these things. I'm saying we're going to adapt Antigone into that world in a moment, if that makes sense. So Ismene and Antigone feel differently about those questions, all right? So you do not have to want to write about all 5 of these things. You just need to want to go to explore one of those things, okay? And if none of them appeal, come to the center. Make sense? Okay, great. So you're going to just point on a count of 3. You're going to point to the issue that you want to go to. Ready? 1, 2, 3, point. Now you're going to follow that hand and you're going to go to that place. Stand by.
Get off this.
Great. Now, here are your instructions. You are going to find one person to adapt this Antigone Ismene scene with that centers, or one or two, if you're a trio, that's fine, the Antigone scene around this particular topic as a prompt. You have to figure out who is Antigone, who is that strong-willed, radical, but yet loyal character in this situation, who's the Ismene, the practical, careful, intelligent one, and what is the dilemma, and where are you? The who, what, and where. I want you to write or structure an improv that writes a few lines of that Antigone Ismene scene, okay? And you're gonna have like 5 minutes to do it. 5 minutes, that's it. So you're gonna find a partner or two partners, and you're gonna make a decision. Yes?
I feel like...
You can write on the back. Yes, if you need a pen, there's some pen right there. If you need a pen, let us know.
But I'm just saying, does it have to be students?
You're in role as the character. Yeah, so could they be teachers? Like, could they?
Oh, yeah.
I think that makes more sense.
Yeah. So then, so let's try to divide it into
One of the things to learn is to start with these very exciting, engaging prompts, and then when they write the scene, they have to engage in empathy on multiple perspectives on them. That is a critical piece of it.
Just that the point is that the way that it's phrased is
And I would never want you to right.
That's so dope.
Yes, I would say, and I want you to get to do the thing.
Yeah,
but I would just say this: that this is shortcut workshop.
Yeah.
They get articles. They don't get just the little key phrases up on the board.
And this is not, for me right now, this is about the fact, this is more about me in this moment and what I stand for, which is about teaching for this workshop and all of
just make sure everybody's voice kind of gets involved in the. Okay. So there's some pens going around. If you guys can just.
All right.
Okay.
Are we gonna?
Well, I guess.
What's the word?
Yeah. What do you mean about the family one?
So like,
no, you said. Yourself could be a good compromise. I agree to stay silent. I won't spill what your plans are against. I had to bring this up last week. So that I won't get embarrassed.
I'll get kicked out if people like you stand in the way. We all have to do it collectively. If anybody stays in the school, that's cause problems.
next to her. What other books that I could say that I don't want to teach that I would make big, and then all of a sudden we're left with a sort of Orwellian future for our kids. We're going to do this for every issue that comes down.
And I could say one hash hour. I'm gonna ask that. You see how you couldn't even go to the pub with your boyfriend anyway. If it he wasn't allowed to go.
Just misunderstood.
Salvatore's offer, which is if you want to include a line from the original text, if you haven't already, go for it, right? And so you've got 2 more minutes before we share. All right, go ahead.
So we should get to a point where in the end you slow down. Because that's
The idea of going and I'm just going to alleviate the things you don't support good things. I think that's what would freak her out more than I think the idea of the program, even the concept of something about it's just not necessarily
We can't fight the system, we'll lose our jobs. More of the parents who like just
stressors are.
I'd be like,
And you know, it's crazy. Okay, so this is what's going to happen now.
Yes, for our population, yes.
I'm going to ask you to present your piece for one other pair. You're going to pair and share with each other, and then we're going to see maybe 1 or 2 more publicly after that. But I'm going to ask you guys to share, the 2 of you, the 2 groups here, these 2 groups here, these 2 groups, or these 2 groups, these 2 groups, and then maybe the 3 here. You're going to share with each other, perform for each other, take turns. Now, go. Yeah, you're gonna, pair and share. Pair and share.
Oh, you mean taking this
What? So we're attaching ourselves to you guys. You guys are gonna go. We'll tell you what our ideas are. We're not ready to do that.
Okay.
So what do you guys got?
So I don't know what to say.
I definitely don't condone violence.
I'm just saying you need to think about the bigger picture more than just your little street.
Okay, so I'm understanding that I'm going to affect you. I get it. What if I don't? I pretend I didn't hear it, and you pretend you didn't hear it too.
I think that's something that we can.
For one day, just refuse to go to school. All of us together. Don't you think that would say something? I can organize it. I can organize it. No, it's so simple, and you're making it complex. You just live in your own class. You just care about yourself. You're not thinking of like the
You're living there, you're just being ruled by your own emotions, thinking about what's going to happen. What happens the day after? Nothing has changed.
What happens the next day?
We had a lot of stories.
I like how the part how she messed up the prom.
Yes, I thought that was really high.
What about yours?
We used the same one.
Which one?
The same that you're like.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I really don't think I can risk this activity. So you're okay not being able to go to college?
So you're okay with living every day?
I agree with everything you do, Antigone, but right now I really need to think about my future.
You can think about your future. My future.
That's it.
Go leave them. But remember, I am your sister.
All right, here y'all go.
Your life is not yours alone.
It will make a difference. I mean, if we keep breaking these rules, eventually they'll hear us. We have to stand up. We have to let people know we are willing to fight for this.
But what are we willing to fight for?
I have it right here.
Not everything that's there is what we believe.
Well, it's everything. Maybe it's not what you believe, but it is what I believe, and I'm willing to go for it.
So I should go for it so that you can believe and give up some of my beliefs.
I think you need to take a stronger stand. Like what you have right now is in the middle, and you've always been sitting on the sidelines. I think you need to put yourself out there.
And I think the best way not to do just our students is to get the community, everyone involved, the adults, and the students.
But we are the youth, we're the people that have the power. We've given them the power in the past, the people older than us, and they've failed us over and over.
Come to stage. Yes? Come back onto stage where you were for the Asmani story. Just come and sit where you were when I was telling you the Asmani story. I would love to... I like that you're reflecting and breaking it down. It's awesome. So interesting. When I was walking around, I was like, I can't tell if you're talking, which is a good sign, if you're talking about it with in an impassioned way, or if you're in the scene. I was like, wait, are they disagreeing about something? It was good acting. I would love to have. Is there any pair that's like, I really want to share this with everyone? Okay, all right. Let's. There was a consensus over there. Let's see. Are we going around here? Oh, right. Okay. We're not over here.
3, 2, 1.
Principal Creon, why are you here? You never step into a rehearsal? Is our budget cut?
We've been getting some parent complaints. I'm pulling the plug on Indecent. I don't know what to tell you. Do Oklahoma.
We've worked so hard, we can't just throw it all away.
I mean, too bad. The decision's been made already.
Well, that's that. Can't go against the admins. Says who? We could lose our jobs. I'm tenured, aren't you?
Yeah, but we could still be fired.
It's safer to just follow the rules and pick a more appropriate production for our population. I'd rather die for love than live for nothing. So you're just gonna go ahead and do the play anyway? Be careful. Keep your secret, and so will I.
Holy, that literally was a documentary. You know it was. Oh my God, that's amazing. Any thoughts or responses to that piece? Like, what did that resonate? How did it connect to Antigone for you? Thoughts, responses? Yes.
I mean, I just thought it was a great parallel.
Yeah.
So, and then it does leave the question open, and that was sort of my I guess, and that is what the point of Antigone is that you have this question and you're allowed to decide for yourself where you stand, or if you are in the middle, or wherever you are. Because as I was watching them, the question became really big in my mind of like, how many factors are involved, and what is right and what is wrong, because I don't think that that's clear. I don't think it's clear either teacher to change it or not to change it. I don't think that that was like, it's stated that this is right and this is wrong.
Yeah, I think when the stakes are big enough, it produces a dilemma that has multiple perspectives on it. I mean, I think we all want to see theater that has debate baked in, right? And that it isn't obvious what a character should do, because then it's pretty disengaging when you're like, well, that's obvious. We emphasize with the teacher who's like, we'll get fired. When do you take a stand that you're willing to be, that goes back to the question we had of, if something is unjust, are you willing to break it? Yeah, it's complicated. Yes.
And I love that I'm tenure part, because we also have a strong union here in New York City. Yes. So we can, as teachers here, we can actually do a lot more than teachers can in other states.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's just pointing that out.
Indeed. Yes. So.
Another one.
Yeah, let's see one more. Oh, Talia, okay. Because Talia's trying to pick me on time. Let's see another. I thought you were saying wrap it up. I was like, yeah, let's see another one. Who feels like they have to? Okay, Erin, yes. All right. And you can perform it for command a larger audience at lunch. You could do a little like, you know what I mean? Everybody, let's perform.
See the finale at lunch when we finish.
All right.
We are the tell the parents gender identity. And we're in a Florida high school, and a student has just told us their pronouns are they, them, not she, her.
Great, Desiree.
And 3, 2, 1.
Curtain.
Well.
Yeah, well, what can we do? Our hands are tied.
Are they?
You know what will happen if we don't report.
And you know what will happen if we do.
We can't fight the system. We'll lose our jobs, our pension, more if the parents try to sue us.
And what will the student lose? Their identity, their home, their life? I can't live with that, can you?
You don't know that. And succeed.
A complicated question. I love the way you got into that. What was the first couple lines of your scene?
Well,
hands tied lines.
Yeah. Well,
oh, sorry.
Sorry.
Here it is.
Yeah, well, what can we do? Our hands are tied. And then she's,
are they?
Yeah. And it's so interesting. That parallels beautifully with the Antigone Ismene scene, yeah? Talking about the process of writing, can anyone share like something, an insight into the process of coming up with this or creating or writing? Can you share? Yeah, Callie.
Well, I feel like we were more interested in exploring what is the right decision rather than having characters who know what's right and they're advocating for that. So I guess we were a little bit off.
No. There's so many ways into it. I think that you can say Antigone in the original play is super sure of herself, but maybe in 2023 she is riddled with doubt, but she's the one who presses forward anyway. There is no courage without fear, right? And therefore, who's to say that Antigone 2023 can't have that insecurity and that nuance, you know? Yeah.
We improvised ours,
Yeah.
and I found it really easy to improvise. I think both of us did, both as Antigone and Ismene in a different situation, because whilst they have an inherent conflict between each other, there's also the close tie of they're actually both trying to do the best thing for each other at the same thing. So that made it very easy to keep changing up there was like I think we could have improvised it for like an hour just on that one thing. Right.
I think that's one of the most important things we've been adapting at Epic and Antigone with ninth graders all over the city, primarily ninth graders, all over the city for over 20 years. And the thing I think that has helped is tying those two characters together with love in some way. Because if they don't care for each other, then the scene doesn't deepen. It doesn't progress in a way that compels us in the same way, right? And so the fact that they're sisters is not an accident. You know, if they're like, I don't care what you say, I'm doing this. You know, so in Antigone adaptations, they may be best friends. They may be like since they can remember, or whatever, cousins who like sisters. You know, what have you. And I do think it's an interesting thing that when we talked about patriarchy a lot in the VOPO. Thank you. Yes, we talked a lot about patriarchy, but I think the fact that these are two girls means something in an adaptation to talk about. They don't necessarily have to be girls in the adaptation, but I do think that there is something to being outside of whatever that system is, in some way, not having full access to power. Okay? I want to thank you so much for going on this Antigone journey. Where do you stand? Journey, so much. Give yourselves a round of applause.